Even when the sky is falling, I've seen miracles just happen. Silent prayers get answered. Broken hearts become brand new. That's what faith can do. Overcome the odds. You don't have a chance. That's what faith can do. When the world says you can't, I'll tell you that you can. I've seen dreams that move mountains, hope that doesn't ever end. Even when the sky is falling, I've seen miracles just happen. Silent prayers get answered. Broken hearts become brand new. That's what faith can do. Even if you fall sometimes, you will have the strength to rise. And that leads us to the person who reminded us about the power of this song, who's here.
Absolutely. Yes, this is a Southern Baptist preacher who became an alcoholic and a misfit, but then turned everything around, obviously, if he's now a preacher. Preacher Morgan, would you come in and share with us a little bit? Welcome to our kitchen.
Hey.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you.
You too.
Come on, sit down. So you actually are an author today.
I am.
Congratulations.
I am. Thank you.
And
Thank
your
you.
book is Renegade Preacher.
Yes, ma'am.
From Rape to Recovery is the title, is the subtitle of that. So is that what led into the rape that you experienced? Is that what led you to becoming a misfit, as you say in your book?
Pretty much. Up until age 12, it was an awesome life. I grew up in a very middle-class America, Boston neighborhood, everything we ever wanted. At age 12, I was raped 52 times by a guy.
Wow.
And Mr. Nice Guy went out the window.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to fight for survival. I had to fight for myself. And that sweet, innocent 12-year-old was gone.
I'm sure.
And what was the remnants was a misfit is just kind of putting it mildly.
You were angry, weren't you?
Oh, it goes beyond
sure.
anger.
Yeah.
It was actual rage.
Yeah.
It literally went beyond. The school systems didn't know what to do with me, so the school systems threw me out.
And no one knew that this was happening to you.
No, but
Yeah.
it's funny. My mom can point to the day that everything changed.
Right.
She can point to the day and go, this day something changed. And at the time, I didn't say anything, but now I look back and go, well, why didn't you ask questions? Why didn't you
Try to find
why didn't
out,
you
right?
try and find out? Why did you just let it go? Why not? And so I turned to alcohol and drugs as my friend. Women, women, drugs, alcohol, everything the world said would make you happy.
Make you feel better.
And
That's gonna fix it,
All
right.
it did was mask it. All it did was put the rage was uncontrollable. I would pull police cars over. And-
You would pull over police cars.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you do that?
You get behind them and flash your lights and beep your horn and pull into the breakdown lane.
Okay.
And then they would pull in, and I would pull them out of the car and beat the living snot out of them and leave them on
Wow.
the side of the road. I just had rage that had to come out.
Sure.
It does somewhere.
It's going to, yeah.
It's gonna, and you can't mask it forever. You can try and cover it with everything the world says will make you happy.
But it
You
doesn't
can.
work.
It doesn't. Eventually, it's. I never ever anticipated being on a TV show telling the world that I was raped.
Right.
It was a secret I was going to take to my grave that was going to be in a compartment that got shoved deep down inside. Because us guys are, guys are meant to, we don't cry, we never let them see you sweat, never let them see your weakness, never, if you show a weakness, that's where they're going to attack. And so you build these fences and walls up.
And we do it as girls, too. We just don't have as good an excuse. We're not manning
okay.
up. We're just, getting cold and distant and doing whatever else to
Right.
distract.
Right.
But the fact is, we all want to hide it permanently. because then it maybe never happened.
Right?
At least we don't have to keep unpacking it and thinking about it. But then, thank God our stories don't end there. They don't end with the I need to hide and I need to live in this rage that I'm feeling. How did God come into your story and start to change your heart?
Well, I drank from the age of 12 to 24. At 24, I was looking at serious jail time, and I said, okay, I got to get sober. I got to stop drinking. But I was so angry at God. I mean, that
right.
to me is a huge factor in my story was
Yes.
the church and church people would say, just trust God. And my thinking was, well, where was God when I was being held down and raped?
Yeah.
Where was God? Well, he was there watching. Really? And you want me to trust that God?
Right.
And so that became a real struggle, even in AA, of getting sober. So I went 10 years sober without God. I just
It's like
kind of
white knuckle. That's
white
a
knuckle,
long time to white
knuckle sobriety.
Yeah.
And finally, in a moment, 10 years in, my wife had written me a missing persons report. It was kind of a letter to me going, where's the man I married? Where's this person? Where is he? Because the anger and rage was still there. Because
Right.
just because you get sober does not mean that the baggage is still with you.
Right, you're still broken.
You're still,
Right.
you've got to deal with it.
Right.
All your drinking and drugging does is mask it. And so when I got sober, I did it without God. And 10 years in, my wife was like, look, I'm done. And I said, so am I. I'm either going drinking or I'm putting a gun in my head and I'm blowing my brains out because I can't live this way.
Right.
And it was in that moment of brokenness of totally, well, I can't drink, I can't drug, and I can't kill myself. Let's try God. And it was in that moment that we ended up going to this, and we got blessed. We found an awesome church where one of the guys met me in the parking lot as I was sitting down, hiding, smoking a cigarette in between two cars.
Yeah.
And he comes out and looks at me and goes, what are you doing? I said, I'm smoking. And he goes, why are you hiding? I went, well, this is like church property. Ain't that like a bad sin?
Yeah.
And he goes, stand up and smoke like a man. I'm a Christian, but I'm not perfect. And it was cool because that was the first time I had been in church and accepted for who I was.
Instead of a facade or
Instead
looking,
of-
it's all perfect already.
Absolutely.
So you went to a hospital instead of a country club church.
Yes.
So you were
Yes.
okay to be broken and needy and hurting.
Absolutely.
That makes all the difference in the world.
Yes. When you're accepted for where you're at and knowing we're not broken. And you've now taken this recovery that you were able to get. Now, you mentioned AA, but I know also that you have a history with Celebrate Recovery.
I do.
So where did that real recovery come in? Was that through AA first or through Celebrate Recovery?
I tried AA for a little bit, but I struggled with it's funny, at the God factor on the front end. But it took 10 years of walking before I got that. And so I love Celebrate Recovery now. I love the steps of Celebrate Recovery. I love how it teaches you that, yes, you've got to deal with the baggage just because you get right with God, just because, you accept Him as your Savior. Everything doesn't go away just because of that. You still have to process through, and you still got to walk through the avenue of forgiveness. You've got to, the hardest piece of my breaking the chains that had me chained up was literally forgiving the man who raped me.
Oh, yeah.
And that was huge. But once you break through that, everything else becomes so much easier.
It's doable instead of impossible.
Correct.
With God's help and actually starting that process of dealing with the original brokenness that kind of set you up for the anger and the rage and the pain and all the things that the addictions were an escape from, right?
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, so we all walk that on different levels.
Yeah.
But it's the same story.
The addictions being the symptom of what you actually had to get to the root of and get to
Absolutely
deal with and forgive and let go, which I'm sure was not easy.
that's by far the hardest thing I've had to do in this lifetime.
Yeah.
Is forgive the guy who did that.
But you found freedom.
But it's his freedom in it. And you're not forgiving him for him.
You're forgiving
You're
him
forgiving
for you.
him for you.
Yes.
It's you know, he's still got to deal with God.
Right.
You
He's
know,
still accountable
I've
to
just
God,
let him
absolutely.
I've let him off my hook. I don't need to deal with it today.
No, and you're not condoning what he did. You're not saying it's okay. You're saying it's not okay, but you're no longer going to hold on to the anger and bitterness that goes with that. You're letting him off of your hook so that he is accountable to God directly without you having to suffer for it.
Correct.
Because otherwise you're punishing yourself. That whole saying of it's drinking the poison and expecting somebody else to die. Like, that's what bitterness does to us. But forgiving, because it's hard, because it's got to be gut level to be real. And it takes time. It takes a process to do that. But with God's help, it's possible. And I know for me, it was the freedom that came out of it. For you, it's the fact that you have a totally different life now. Your marriage, you still have a wife?
I do. See,
I've met her. She's beautiful.
We have survived it. We have worked in ministry together for 20-something years now. Our life is now focused on helping other hurting people get their freedom. That was the whole purpose behind writing the book. Was there are so many hurting people out there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And hurting people hurt people. And there are so many people, as a pastor, I can see it this way, that even the church is not equipped in most cases to help hurting people that come in the door.
Right.
And I just thank God I happened to find the right one at the right time. That God has just kind of steered my life. And I never thought in a million years that I would be a Southern Baptist preacher. I mean,
sitting in a jail cell, you didn't think you'd be a Southern Baptist preacher?
And I mean, that's a trip. But it's also, you've got to overcome, because most people look at churches and see the churches as hypocrites, and the people in the church as hypocrites, and that they need to know, as you said, we are a hospital for hurting people.
Exactly.
And that we do have the most absolute awesome surgeon in Jesus to fix our deepest hurts, the deepest wounds, the deepest everything we suffer.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Preacher Morgan, for being here. We are celebrating you today because you are our ex-victim of the week. We're so appreciative that you would come and share with us. So we have a gift package for you.
And this is where we pull your wife in, because we kind of doubt you're going to wear this necklace, but you never know. It's an ex-victim. The X with a little V for the victim, that's saying that you don't have to be a victim anymore. And your wife can wear it as a reminder to you and her.
To bloom
bloom today.
A free PDF copy of the Bloom in the Dark book and a full list of Bloom Today's coaching tools can be found on bloomtodaytv.com. Then visit Bloom Today's Facebook group for deeper conversation.